my channel. Welcome back to another video. I'm Jessie and you're watching. Y'all, thank you so much for watching the Unpopular Opinions Book Tag. This book tag was brought to us by the Book Archer, and I have to say that I'm a little disappointed in y'all booktube because almost every booktuber has done this tag. This is a huge tag. It's easily, ironically, the most popular tag on booktube next to the booktube newbie tag, but the Book Archer only has 6,000 subscribers, and I think that that's bullshit. She created this incredible tag. It was absolutely genius, and I think that she deserves more subscribers, and also her content still slaps. Book Archer, if you're watching this, I love you. You're amazing, and I hope that your channel blows up soon because you deserve it. Now, I have a lot of ranting to do in this video. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I do rant here. We rant here, and so I'm surprised that I haven't filmed this tag yet, but I figured today's the day.
Today's the day.
The first question is a popular book that you didn't like.
Oh, where do I start?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who hates them all? So I actually have a series on my channel called Books That Wasted My Time, and that series is where I pretty harshly dig into the books that I didn't like. I give reasons for why I didn't like these books, but I do usually try to say some positive things or recommend it for certain types of readers. So I will leave that series linked down below, a playlist of all of those videos, so that you can watch my rant videos if you end up liking this one. And a lot of these books that I'm going to be mentioning, I've talked about at length in those videos. To answer this actual question, I'm going to be going with The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, which is going to be
literally nobody's surprised.
I was reading this when I was at BookNet Fest last year, and people kept coming up to me being like,
Jessie, are you okay?
Because to any of the booktubers who would listen, I was
bitching
about how much I hated this funking book, about how funking racist it is, about how funking xenophobic it is, anti-black and fat phobic, and just I hated this book. I hated this book, and I was so angry that it won a funking Pulitzer Prize. How disgusting. It got a movie, and this woman is literally rich because of it, and The Secret History, her other book, is also trash racist nonsense. And if you want to hear me explaining point by point why this book wasted so much of my time, it took literal years off of my life, and I'm already black, which means my life expectancy isn't that long to begin with. Y'all, we gotta move on.
We gotta move on. Oh my gosh.
I have left a playlist of my Books That Wasted My Time series below. Moving on. Fuck that book. Question number 2 is a popular book or series that everyone else seems to hate, but you actually love. Look, dog, listen to me. Like, lean in. Have you leaned in? Because it wasn't a joke. It wasn't like a suggestion.
Literally lean into the screen.
I want to make sure that my message is not missed. This will literally never happen. Okay, I am such a neurotic person. I am easily rubbed the wrong way. Don't even get me started on my pet peeves. We're not doing that because this video will literally never freaking end. Look, the point is, if something about a book, multiple things about a book has bothered multiple viewers, chances are it bothered me too. Okay, chances are it has bothered me from the get-go, and I just haven't said anything because I'm trying to see if other people are also as bothered as I am before I say something, because I try not to be too negative. I really do try. It just don't always work out that way because of the way my attitude is set up. Question number 3 is a love triangle where the main character ended up with a person that you did not want them to end up with, or a one true pair that you just don't like. Where do I begin with this one? I'm annoyed I even have to put energy to bring this down from my shelf. That is going to be Children of Blood and Bone and Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. Here's a one true pair that I don't like. Zaylee and the Prince. It don't make no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's literally homophobia that Zaylee and Amari aren't together. I'm just kidding. It's not actually homophobia. Don't take that seriously. Don't go like tweeting to Tomi Adeyemi that I said she was homophobic, because it was a joke. It was a joke, I promise. I don't think that they have any chemistry. They are so boring. They're like watching paint dry, and they just have all this teenage angst that has nothing to do with each other's real character. I just don't care. I don't care. And then we get to talk about Drew and Alexa from The Wedding Date. The Wedding Date was the very first book that I read in 2019. I read it on January 1st, and I was trying so hard to finish it on the 31st of December. Who really cares? Is it even the serious? Jessie, calm down. Like, first world fucking problems. I was rushing to finish it on the 31st of December so that it wouldn't be my first book of 2020. And I couldn't finish it because I hated it so much. And I was frantically skimming towards the end because I hated it that much. And I never, ever skim books. And I still couldn't finish it by the first because it sucked. Look, no. It's not that it sucked. It didn't suck. That's incorrect to say. That's unfair. Me searching for a more kind word. It's not that the book itself sucked. It's that there were so many issues with the romance that never got addressed as being deeply troubling aspects of an adult relationship that I just was deeply disturbed and unsatisfied and also annoyed because I don't want my romance books to uphold all of these toxic things that end up ruining romances.
That don't make no sense, dog.
So I didn't like Drew and Alexa. I thought that Drew was jealous and controlling and that his jealousy was romanticized. For that reason, I would never read another book by this author because fetishized jealousy, fetishizing male anger is not a healthy thing. It's not something that we need to be teaching to young girls or promoting or any of that. I didn't like them. And also Drew was mad socially ignorant. And yes, Alexa did check him when he said something that was ignorant once or twice, but I didn't get the impression that Drew had really worked through his low-key racist ideas by the end of the novel. It just was a conversation a couple times, and then the book kind of treated it like, yep, that was the race conversation. Good thing we'll never have to have that again. Bro, the world is literally on fire. Okay. Word. Question number 4 is a popular book genre that you generally do not reach for, and I'm definitely going to go with romance for this, and it's for the reasons that I mentioned in question number 3. I see a lot of problems with these romances. Also, a lot of times romance books don't put their couples through enough tests for me to feel confident in those couples. Yes, they might have to work through an ex popping up or some sort of kind of essentially quite minor conflict. I want my relationships to really be tested, and that's why I love couples so much more in thriller and horror stories and in science fiction and fantasy stories that fall a little bit more on the dark horror side. Those couples really go through trials and tribulations, and I find that romantic. I find it romantic to see that a couple is still together after literally having gone through the ends of the earth to try and protect one another. I want to know that they can still be together after going on a violent journey through wolf-infested woods in order to get out to the other side or to survive an avalanche, or you know what I mean? Like, I want to see my couples really be tested, and that's why I don't dig romance. I'm still seeing a lot of upholding of toxic traits in romance stories. Like, I'm still seeing tropes of an unhealthily jealous man being rewarded by the end of the novel by still getting the girl and never having to work through how he's low-key controlling and possessive, and how that can easily lead to abuse. I've also noticed that in the romance genre, sometimes female characters will do things that are just wildly not okay to their male partners, and that never gets addressed because it's assumed that women can't perpetuate any kind of partner violence. Oh, I just get heated talking about it. As you can see, my blood pressure is already boiling.
Are you mad, bro? Tell me what you're mad for.
But I really loved the romance in Love Boat Taipei, and it also had a love triangle that was so incredibly well done. Love Boat Taipei is absolutely a romance book that everybody should have on their TBR, as well as Love from A to Z. I just read that in the audiobook, and I damn near had tears in my eyes by the end. I love that both of the characters are multiracial. I love that their love gets truly tested. Honestly, like, this is definitely the stronger romance of the two books, and I still thought that the romance in Love Boat Taipei was really, really well developed. Question number 5 is a popular book character that you do not like, and the second that I read this question, I already knew who the first character was gonna be, and that was easily Harry fucking Potter. Harry fucking Potter. Harry Potter. I remember when I first read Harry Potter, I only read the series once.
That was all I needed.
Because I just couldn't stand Harry Potter. And I hated Harry Potter as a character way before J.K. Rowling got Twitter happy. Okay, way before she started tweeting things that she had no business tweeting, and then proudly defending those tweets with her entire chest. Okay, I've always hated Harry Potter from the second that I first read him, and I didn't read those books until I think I was like 22.
So I put them off as long as I possibly could.
Because I was such a snob reader as a kid, and I never wanted to read Harry Potter as a kid because it was cool.
Yeah, I was one of those people.
And I'm ashamed to admit it, but I'm why start saving face on this channel now? Y'all have seen me be so messy and so trash, so like why start pretending that I'm put together now? I hated Harry Potter because I hated how he treated his friends. Loyalty is one of the biggest things to me, giving loyalty and showing loyalty. And I hated how he was always talking down to his friends. He rarely ever said thank you. He rarely told them how appreciated that they were. And I know that one could make the argument that this is because Harry Potter is suffering from PTSD, and PTSD makes people highly cranky and irritable and can affect the ways can affect the ways in which you are able to develop healthy, nourishing bonds with other people. Yes, I do know that. And it still doesn't excuse Harry Potter's treatment of his friends. And honestly, the same people who stand up and defend how Harry Potter treated his friends and how trash ass of a friend Harry Potter was, how trash of a person Harry Potter was, are the same people who defend J.K. Rowling's transphobic tweets. Question number 6 is a popular author that you cannot get into, and if I haven't pissed you off by now, I think this is probably going to be the one. The first author that comes to mind is Adam Silvera. I tried reading I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. No, I'm sorry. I tried reading They Both Die at the End, which is this queer male-male romance about these two boys who find out that they're both going to die that day and decide to spend the day together, and they fall in love and they both die at the end. And this, last year, all of BookTube, or was it the year before? I think it might have been the year before, but all of BookTube was weeping over this book. Everybody was reading it. Everybody was saying how good it was. And I started the book and I got to chapter 5 and I was like, does it get good on chapter 6 or like 7 or when does it get good? It never got good for me. And in its defense, I ended up DNFing it because I realized that at one point I was going to have to review this book that you all loved so deeply and that was so special to you, and I was just going to
shred it to pieces.
Edward Scissorhands would have been a disaster, like the Freddy Krueger claw, okay? Like no, T-Rex claw. So Raptor claw, that's what I was thinking. I DNF'd that book because it was painful. I really didn't like his writing. I thought he was trying really, really hard to sound cool. The dialogue of the characters felt like somebody who was older writing the dialogue of a teenager. The writing itself I didn't enjoy. I didn't feel enveloped into the story at all. I didn't care about either of the characters. It couldn't hold my attention, and it probably says more about me than it does about y'all, or than it does about the book itself. Freudian slip. It probably says more about me than it does about the book itself, because everybody enjoyed this book except for me. So it's definitely an issue with me.
I'm defect in some way.
Case and Colander would have been at the top of this list, but I fell absolutely in love with their latest work, Felix Ever After, which is about this trans boy who's both trans-binary and trans-non-binary, whose pre-transition photos are posted all over the school, and then they go off trying to get revenge against the people who did this to him. It was an absolutely wonderful freaking book from page 1 all the way to the end. I listened to the audiobook in one sitting. Kaysen really put their foot in that book. They did an amazing job. The final author is going to be James Patterson. James Patterson's writing is drier than my vagina when J.K. Rowling is tweeting on Twitter. And I know that this is extra bad to say because James Patterson has been on the BookTube Original series and I've been on the BookTube Original series, so I know there's no way he's possibly watching this. But if he is, like, I'm sorry, James, but your writing just doesn't do it for me. It's just not for me. Question number 7 is a popular trope that you are tired of seeing. Examples are the lost princess, the corrupt ruler, the love triangle, etc.
How much time do y'all got?
The chosen one. The reluctant hero.
I didn't ask for this.
The hero who doesn't want to have to save the world, but they must, and they're gonna whine about it the entire time and let you know how ungrateful they are that they've inherited all of these amazing powers and that they have this amazing ability to change the world and how much of a burden it is, and it's going to be really freaking tedious, and despite the fact that all of the characters are literally trying to get them to embrace their destiny and to get their head out of their butt and to just get their act together.
But no!
Instead of that, they're just gonna whine about it, and then we, as the reader, have to deal with that. World building that mirrors Western Europe. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I will never get it. And what I will never understand is why so many fantasy books pull from Western Europe, specifically down to even the representation of the UK monarchy. I am so extremely exhausted of the ambiguously specific medieval Euro setting. It's gotta stop. Pale-skinned people are always living in the north, and then dark-skinned people are always living in the south. And yes, I understand that there are anthropological reasons as to why that is. There is a scientific explanation as to why that is. I get that. But we're talking about fantasy. So why can't dark-skinned people live in the north? Why can't the dark-skinned people be the ones who love snow? Why do we have to adhere to the rules of the modern day world so specifically in our fantasies? It makes fantasies feel so unimaginative and regurgitated, and I absolutely hate it. That's why I'm so extremely tired of this specifically ambiguous medieval Euro setting. Then there's a trope of the main character being 100% good and the villain is 100% evil. Literally nobody is like that. I literally just saw a photo the other day of Tim, what is his name? This people that all the white girls are obsessed with, this guy, Ted Bundy. I literally just saw a photo of Ted Bundy smiling and washing dishes with his ex-girlfriend as if nothing is wrong. I'm sick of the fake dating trope for the most part, unless it's being written from a person of color's perspectives and they're talking about having to fake date in order to please their traditional parents or to fit into white society. I'm tired of fake dating. It's played out. It's gotta stop. I also hate the trope in feminist fiction where every male in the society is problematic except for the one male that the main character has just so happened to fall in love with. She just so happened to have a crush on
The one guy
who doesn't support the patriarchy. The one good guy in the entire town. He has no work to go through. He has no internalized beliefs about women's inferiority to work through. He's just perfect Prince Charming, and every guy around him is evil except for him. I'm so tired of that. Question number 8 is a popular series that you have no interest in reading. Shatter Me. Literally everything down to the grocery list that Sarah J. Maas has ever written. The Chronicles of Narnia. Seriously, I tried to read this when I was 12 years old and the movie came out, and I could not have imagined a more boring book if I tried. I genuinely think that the Chronicles of Narnia series is the reason why I got my first gray hair at age 14. His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman. And isn't Philip Pullman transphobic or homophobic? The Dark Tower by Stephen King.
Yeah, I said it.
Stephen King's writing stopped being good a long time ago, and some of y'all just can't admit it. And lastly, we have To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Does she end up with Peter?
I don't know, and I don't care. I don't care anything about this book. I'm good. I'll watch the movie someday, but I'm never gonna read the series. Number 9, the final question is, the saying goes, the book is always better than the movie. But what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? We're gonna start with my favorite movie of all time, my favorite drama, and my favorite teen drama, and that is going to be The Invisible. This is a movie that came out in 2007. It was filmed in Canada, and it stars Marguerite Levieva and Justin Chatwin. Marguerite, who is this really just badass, what's a good word for it?
She's a little punk.
Okay, she's running a crime operation in the school. She beats people up. She barely goes to class. Like she's going through a lot. She ends up accidentally murdering our protagonist, and he wakes up the day after the murder, and he climbs out of the sewer drain, and he walks to school, and he finds that nobody else can see him, and he has literally only 48 hours for Marguerite's character Annie to tell the police where his body is before he will permanently die, and he will cross over from the spiritual realm that he's inhabiting and completely. It's just one of the most amazing films ever. You have to watch it. Literally nobody has ever seen this movie. I've never ever mentioned this movie to someone and had them say that they had seen it or that they had even heard of it. I've like forced it down the throats of so many of my friends and family. I watch it several times a year. I watch it every time I'm really sad. And it only ever makes me sadder, so I don't know why I even bother. But this book was originally written in German, and I started reading it translated, and perhaps it's because it was a translated work. It just wasn't speaking to me at all, and I ended up DNFing it at the first chapter. I was like, you know what? It's not better than the movie. That's most certainly clear. The next book that I have is going to be a little controversial, and that is The Little Prince, Le Petit Prince. To be fair, I didn't grow up reading this book the way that many of you did. I read this book for the first time 2 years ago. It doesn't have the childhood nostalgia that it has for so many of you, and I wish that it did because it's such an amazing, magical book. But the movie, the adaptation that Netflix did that stars Rachel McAdams, y'all, every time I watch that movie, I cry. And what it does is it pulls directly from the animations from the book. It's a literal interpretation of those animations. So it's a very literal translation of the book, and it's so good. Just the artistry and the script. And I love that they expanded the story while still keeping true to the story of Les Petits Points. So freaking phenomenal. Then there's also The Devil Wears Prada, which was way better than the book in my opinion. And finally, this is probably going to not surprise literally any of y'all, but specifically NBC's Hannibal, the TV show adaptation of the Silence of the Lambs books or the Hannibal series. Now, I do not agree that the movies are better than the books. The movies are phenomenal, but I do agree that the TV show is better than both the movies and the books. Brian Fuller did an amazing job. It is an incredible piece of fiction. He expanded it in some delicious, amazing ways. He made it queer. He did so many great things with it, and the visuals it was amazing. The characters also expanded, and Mads Mikkelsen's portrayal of Hannibal, oh my gosh, like Julia Sapphire and I have bonded so much over our love of Hannibal. Those of you who've been following me for a little bit know that we hosted a Hannibal Along a couple months ago, and that ended up failing because at the time of Hannibal Along, it was the same time as George Floyd's murder, and we dropped the watch along for the TV show because protesting George Floyd's murder was absolutely more important than Hannibal Along. Now, I only have 9 questions written down. I don't know if there's a 10th question. If there is, I'll write it in a comment and I will pin my answer in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far in the video, comment down below with the word rant. That's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching another Bow Ties and Books production. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love it if you became a part of my bookish family. All of my social media links are in the description box below. Stay safe, wear your funking mask, and I can't wait to see you in my next video.